Kia ora. This is a video that I had actually made a couple of weeks ago, and then I accidentally deleted it because I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing with technology. So I just wanted to quickly make this video because I've been contacted by a few people asking me where the video went. So I'm just going to remake it, and this one is why we see the light when we die. Um, Now, I know that, from a neurological standpoint, we're told that, the reason why we see the light when we're in the process of dying is because, it's a neuron shutting down and stuff like that. But from my perspective, from the understanding that I have been told it and from what I've seen, because I have actually died a couple of times myself, and paying attention and doing studies and listening to other people who have had, these experiences where they've died and come back and that sort of thing. Basically what it is, it's like the light that you see is like the birth of the connection or the creation to the next phase of your spiritual journey or your soul's journey. So what happens is, as your body is starting to leave its physical form, as your soul is crossing over from this world into the next, you go into like a judgment zone, and you rise above yourself, and that even while your body is still perfectly functioning, your spirit will leave your body. Your spirit always starts to leave your body sort of in the days, weeks, minutes before the impact of death or the cause of death takes effect. And there's like a suspension period, and it can take hours, it can take minutes. If to people watching, it can feel like it's a long drawn out process, but to the person who's actually in the process of dying, it's very quick. And what happens is, as the spirit starts to leave the body, that light that they see is their judgment period, and that is when they sit and they reassess and reevaluate everything that they've done in their life, in their life's journey, in their soul's journey, and they reevaluate and evaluate everything they got right and everything they got wrong. Now, anyone where it's not their time to go, their spirit will come back into their body. They'll have, those great revelations. They'll have incredible epiphanies, and their lives change forever. For those that cross over, the light is actually the start of their rebirth. So, if you imagine this is their body dying and this is their new life, the life that they're going to be born into, their reincarnated life, the light is the transition between the physical and the next life. So the light that they see is actually the light of the sperm and the egg meeting and creating inside the uterus or womb of somebody else, because 99.9% of us are reborn the second we start to die. We're born into a new life. And my theory has always been that when we communicate with the dead, one of the reasons why it is so hard to be able to actually communicate with the dead is because of the fact that they've already been reborn into new lives. So my mum died in 2005. She would have been in somebody's uterus in 2005. Like, she died in March 2000. No, was it March 2005? Yeah. And so, she was reborn, reincarnated straight away, obviously depending on the sort of person you were and the sort of evaluation you give yourself, because nobody judges your path and nobody judges your journey but you and the versions of you that got it right, or you and the higher version of you, your higher consciousness. You are the judge and jury of your fate. Nobody else in this universe dictates the course of your path but you. You are the greatest judge of your character. You are the greatest judge of your journey. And what happens is, when you see the light, when you have that, the light is like the connection to time. Whenever I see time as a visual, it's a bright light made up of all the colors in the universe, that grows and expands. And consciousness grows and expands. And when your spirit leaves your body and goes into the new consciousness, there's that spark of creation. There's that, that light, that, if you put two electrical cords together and you get that spark. So when you see the light, you are seeing that journey or that transition between this phase and the next one, this physical journey and the next one yet to begin. They talk about the light of creation. You know, when you see if you see visual images and stuff of and animation of when a sperm meets an egg, the second the sperm breaks into the egg sac, you know, there's that spark, the spark of creation. And so what it is that the dying process is the, you know, when you're evaluating the life that you've lived, and the spark or the light that you see is then, you know, the light of what you're about to become in your new life. And that's why it's very, very difficult to be able to communicate with actual dead loved ones, because the only way you can do it is when the person who has crossed over is, you know, if they're in their new life, say like my mother was reborn into someone called Harry, you know, basically the only time we can communicate with Harry is when Harry is asleep and remembers that he was my mum, or when he's, you know, connecting psychically using his psychic mind, or when he's daydreaming or like unconscious or in a coma and stuff like that. And the reason why, see, in my culture we believe that it takes a year for the spirit of a loved one to transition from this life into the next, and I've come to believe that it's because that's when the spirit or the soul of the person who's crossed over is still in uterine, because the younger you are, the closer you are still connected to your spirit self. That's why children are the purest, most innocent, you know, form of human, because the younger you are, the more you are still the higher consciousness. Children are innocence, children are virtue, children are naive, children are purity, just like a spirit, just like, or what you would call an angel, whatever it is you want to call it. And you know, when you have the 9 months in uterine, you have that connection with your loved one, because they are still there in the highest, purest spiritual form of consciousness. So pretty much the only people who get to die and cross over and don't have that evaluation are children and like the disabled. The harder the life, the more tragic the life, the shorter the life you have, the wiser the spirit, the older the soul, the stronger the light. Only beings, only spirits of the purest light choose the hardest journey, and therefore when they cross over, they get to decide what it is they want to do next. So, you know, children, disabled, you know, like people who suffer from, you know, extreme mental illness, disabled people, um, homeless people, like people who have lived really long, you know, tragic lives of abuse, or children, babies, that sort of thing. They're the ones who are exonerated from judgment from self-judgment when they cross over. But having said that, most of them still want to come back and live another experience, because there's no experience in the universe like the human experience. Plants and animals and insects and that sort of thing don't have the kind of expectations and duty put on them for learning. You actually find that most people who come back as animals and plants and trees and stuff like that, they've got to come back to perform some sort of service or duty of care to the planet. Like, you know, maybe they were good people in a past life and they got most things right, but, you know, they might not have been completely faithful to their partners, or they might have stolen some things while they were at work, even though it was to, you know, sell to feed their family because they weren't making enough or something like that. They'll usually come back as like pigeons or birds, or dogs, or, you know, like a banana tree or something where they're there to serve a purpose for the rest of humanity, to help the planet, to help mankind, but where, you know, it's short, it's quick, you know, they serve their purpose and then they get to move on, you know, and advance into something better. And I know a lot of people will scoff and laugh at me when I say that, but there is a thing called genetic memory. And we know from a scientific standpoint that we carry the genes, the genetic markers of, we share genes with things like bananas and pigs and dogs and stuff like that. So, you know, my theory isn't completely nuts. Um, so so then what happens is, you know, when you cross over and you see the light, you either judge yourself to be, you know, needing more lessons in this life, and then you'll wake up from your coma, or, you know, they'll bring you back to life and you'll have that great epiphany and you'll do wonderful things with your life, and fix the things where you judge yourself needing to go um, right, to correct the things that need to go right. Or it might just be that you know, you realize that your whole life's journey was, you know, set on the wrong course, and it helps put you on the right course. And I'll talk about that in my next video, about what happens when you go to hell. But for those of us that, you know, that do actually cross over, there's like a it you're not over there for long periods of time. Like what might seem like months or years or centuries to us is a split second to spirit, because time doesn't exist. Time is all one. Time is all encompassing when you're in death or in the higher consciousness. Time is time exists simultaneously. So, you know what, it might look like someone's taking days or weeks to die, but to their spirit, you know, they know what's going to happen. They know that when they get ready to leave, they're going to be reborn as, you know, a cat, or as Phyllis, or, you know, whatever. Um, Death is only hard on the living. Death is not hard on anyone who is dying. They understand the process. You do not carry malice or greed or judgment or anything like that over with you when you cross over into the light. The crossing over into the light is the cleansing of the old. It is the rebirth of something new. It is the biodegrading of what was, and the birth and creation of, you know, what is to be. And only you judge between the physical and the spiritual, or the, you know, the physical self and the conscious self, or the past and the future, your old life and your new life, what position you're going to be in. You choose your death, you choose how you die, you choose when you're going to die. That is without exception. Every decision you make decides the course of what's going to happen next. So you see the light because it's the birth of something new. It's the birth of creation. If you cross over into the light, you're creating the new journey. It's the physical creation of your new journey, your new self, your new path as a spirit, but your new beginning from the person you were into the person you have chosen yourself to be. And I've seen people die, like literally die in front of my eyes, like in the physical. I've actually been there when they've died, and I've seen them get to the light and literally go like this and dive straight back down, you know, whoop, whoop, straight down. And the reason why there is no greater experience than the human experience is because, you know, animals don't have to worry about bills. Animals don't have to worry about redundancy or sexuality or religion or scrutiny, or, you know, they have their set survival abilities, and, you know, that's it. Whereas like with humans, we learn more in the first 5 years than at any other point in our life, and the expectation to get everything right as a human is a lot of pressure for a higher consciousness. And the pressure that comes with being a person, a human, is far greater than, you know, anything that a banana tree ever has to deal with, or a daffodil, or an orangutan, or anything like that. It's you know, we're considered the apex predator, but I actually think that we're the apex parasite, because, you know, we determine the course and the fate of what happens on this planet more than any other living species, and therefore the responsibility to get it right every single time we do it, there's a lot of pressure. So in between that dying phase of dying and being reborn, you know, on being recreated or biodegrading and then recycling into something new, if you will, the pressure to get it right, to make sure that you are one of the ones that help tip the balance the right way for everything else. Because, you know, it doesn't matter how big or small your role is on this planet, without symbiotic relationships, without the symbiosis of everything else, working in conjunction with you, you know, we can tip the balance the wrong way. So we have to get it right every time. If you're living now something you got wrong in this life, this is you making up for what you got wrong in your past lives, and it's up to you to find the right balance in this life, so that when you do cross over, you don't have to come back and do it again. The whole point of being reborn and reincarnating, and you know, trying to fix the things that you get wrong in this life, is so that you can become a part of all time in the next one, and not have to worry about, you know, having to keep dropping acorns from your tree in order to, you know, grow the perfect acorn. You just get to be the tree, which is what children and that get to do. They get to just be in time and have access to all time, and, you know, do whatever they want and be whatever they want. It's energy in the highest form, or if you're religious, it would be what you would call an angel. So for the rest of us who don't get it right, we just keep coming back and doing it again, coming back and doing it again. And, you know, the light of creation is in everything. You know, if you're working on a mathematical formula, if you're working on, you know, the words to a song, if you're working on a sonnet or a book, or, you know, when you fall in love with someone, when your eyes meet across the room and you have that, you know, like just that boom, when you know, oh my God, that's the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. That's that spark of creation. That is the start of something new, the birth of a new beginning. And when you die, you know, that thing there, that process there is no different, because, you know, the light is creation, the light is time, the light is speed and gravity, and, you know, momentum and magnetism, and it's in everything. And when you don't have that light, you have the dark, and that's the opposite of reincarnation. That's when you go from being matter to antimatter. That's the difference between heaven and hell. But I'll talk about that in the next video. But I just wanted to do this video because people have been asking me where the video went, and I completely deleted the two of them by accident. So if you have any questions in that, you know where I am, and I'll speak to you later. Mwah.